And looks like we're good to go. So we got Zatox on the right screen, WillardJBradley on the left screen. Zatox currently having a PB of 127.84, I guess, which hasn't been submitted yet, though, to the leaderboard. And WillardJBradley, on the other hand, with a PB of 133.49. I don't know if he has submitted any other PBs lately. On the question, yeah, is this even randomized? Doesn't look like it. So this seed is going to be quite vanilla.
Hey, I hear you now, Bamboo Shadow.
Can you hear me as well?
Oh, wonderful. Sorry about that. I don't know what was going on, but we are underway.
Alrighty. So once again, welcome, Maniacal.
Thank you, and how are you doing today, Bamboo Shadow?
In a bit of a hustle, actually, so I was a little bit late, sorry for that, but seems like we're good to go to see some Link to the Past No Major Glitches race tonight.
Yeah, and I was saying, I don't know if y'all heard me or not, but I am really excited for this matchup between Willard and Zatox, the 2 and 1 seed in Group C.
Indeed.
So this should be one of the closer races that we'll be seeing in the group stage, and I think the two players are 5 minutes off in PB, but fairly closely matched. Should be a competitive race.
Yeah, I guess like in the sub 140 range, in a race context, basically anything can happen. Like you have to die to cold stare, and then it's boom, just like turning around everything. And I mean, we can see that Zatox probably did a few, like a bunch of practice lately, I think, and he's like one screen ahead, but that should be nothing. We could still like the sewer RNG incoming, so lots of time for Willard to catch up here.
Yeah, to answer the other players in Group C, I believe the 3 seed is Pika-Pals. And the 4 seed, gosh, I'll pull it up here. I don't want to be incorrect.
I don't know which is 3 and 4, but it's Simple and Pika-Pal. Pika-Pal's also being like probably quite known on the speed gaming channels these days, since he made it to the semifinals in the Key Sanity tournament.
Yeah, I actually caught a little of that match yesterday. That Pikachu sprite was pretty nifty.
Shoutouts to Rando Devs.
But here on this one, we've got the runners making their way through the sewer part of the escape. Willard taking that safety heart. Zatox was able to skip it already at full health. See what sort of rope RNG Willard gets. And not the best rope RNG there. Kind of a bad pattern. A couple slashes got him out of the way, though.
Yeah, like the first 6 minutes of the game are pretty straightforward. It's basically just trying to avoid enemy contact and pump the hell out of every room. If you are familiar already with that technique, and if you're like willing to do something bad to your hands.
Yeah, one of the varying points of RNG allowing Willard to catch up there, the key rat position. Willard got a much better behaved key rat than sort of northwest key rat that Zatox got.
Yeah.
And Willard clearly going for the optimized cutscene here with the heartbeat for, I believe, some amount of lag reduction. I think it's order of 30 frames.
Something like that, yeah.
So absolutely calculated by Willard. Well done. Both runners, yeah, close to in sync here at the Sanctuary. Nothing surprising there.
I guess we're gonna see both runners getting the Sanctuary Heart. Yes, indeed. I mean, like, I guess Sanctuary Heart is something you should skip once you get like to the sub 126-ish range.
Yeah, maybe, and maybe not even then for a race. Maybe if we had, 124s racing one another, we might see some Sankart skips, or someone doing it out of pride. But I don't think we'll see too many Sankarts get skipped. At least not in the group stage.
Yeah, I guess like you can easily afford the 3 seconds or 4 seconds you're gonna lose when picking up the Sanctuary Heart.
Yeah, the way these groups were assembled is to have sort of a disparity in skill levels, because all of the players who entered the tournament were just seeded 1 to 128, and then there was one player from each bin, 1 to 32, 33 to 64, 65 to 96, and 97 to 128, chosen at random for each group. And so Zatox being the 1 to 32 member for Group C, Willard is the 33 to 64. That's kind of as close as the matchups are going to get, and even those PBs are a handful of minutes apart. And so that cost of Sankart versus the benefit of getting it, I just don't see players skipping it too often. Not early on.
Yeah, it doesn't seem quite necessary. I mean, like Chet was just commentating there. Even if our one and only Zelda, who got like the sickest world record of 123.19, would have gotten the Sankart, he still would have gotten the world record by a large margin. So, I mean, like, I guess it's something that is definitely not necessary to get a good time. I mean, there are definitely way more things you can optimize and practice before you start skipping the Sankart.
Yeah, there's... At this point, the game is simultaneously incredibly optimized and still has just so much variance in runs. It looked like Willard was memeing a little with a downward pump there. Not getting anything out of it, but it's something you don't see too often. But I'm glad that his heartbeat has gone away, and Zatox having a little bit of trouble with the deboost for the big key chest, but recovering nicely.
Yeah, like we see that at Zatox's stream quite often. I'm always giving him a hard time because his Eastern Palace is just really, really bad. Like, not really, really bad, but I'm teasing him often with that.
Another one of those things that costs on the order of Sankart is that safety pot that we saw both runners get, and so we'll see them each with 15 arrows here before they get to the bow. And There's Willard's bow. Still about a screen behind. And so, as much as you're ragging on Zatox for his Easterns, he's doing a very nice job with it thus far.
Yeah, it has been kind of okay. I mean, he had a pretty okay escape. I guess it was like a 557-ish, 556-ish. So that's pretty good for a race. Doing a good job here on the Zelda gamer room, picking up the safety hard. That's the right choice there.
Yeah, you got nice RNG out of those Stalfos. And Willard getting a little more trolled, but not too bad. Zatox going with... Oh!
Ooh,
and slightly
right
beefing that top right quick kill. Let's see if Willard can get it.
Interesting pattern then on Willard's screen. Like,
yeah, really.
We're starting really late to move.
Yeah, it was a really judicious pause that he took there after killing the first Armos from the top left, waiting on them to start moving. Something that, had I gotten that pattern, I almost assuredly would have screwed it up.
Yeah, it's quite unfamiliar. Like I've never seen that before. Like I never realized that that can happen. Such thing can happen in the fight there, that they start moving that late. And I guess we're gonna see the first route divergence here, since Willard was moving past Aghanim, sorry, Sahasrahla, and he's gonna pick up the rupees behind him and maybe some bombs, I guess, while Zatox is probably going for the rupee tree pull.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want to talk a little bit about early run rupee management?
You go ahead. I don't know too much about prize packs and that kind of stuff. I'm just...
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that I can comment too much on the prize pack end of it, but basically the runners are going to need 110 rupees for to pay off Kiki, the monkey, when they go to get into Palace of Darkness. And so a lot of the early run is mindful of where they're going to come up with that change. And so we saw Willard grab that 100 rupees from the back of Sahasrahla's hut. We're going to see Zatox when he's going for the Master Sword, setting up some tree pulls, and we'll talk a little bit more about those at the time, but manipulating to get exactly 4 red rupees out of one of the trees on his way out after getting the Master Sword, assuming that all goes well. And there is a nice backup for that if it should come to it, but it's all about having enough to pay for Kiki and then to pay for flippers eventually.
Oh yeah, and especially in a race context, I have to say I'm on Willard's side with that one, because he has 126 rupees, and it can happen that you throw away a pretty decent run because you're just not taking care on your way to the Dark Palace, and you get hit and you lose Kiki and you have to bribe him again with 10 rupees, but you don't have any more, so it can be awful.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of those Sahasrahla rupees, but my run times are also multiple minutes behind either of these folks, so I wouldn't slight either of them over a decision to skip.
And we see Zatox enter at a low-ish 14, the palace. I think that's kind of an okay time, considering that he screwed up the Armos fight there. Like talking about his personal best, like as a reference here. Since his I guess, haven't we talked, have you talked about PBs earlier? Because Zatox has on the leaderboards 128 something, 128
24.
24, yeah.
24.
Actually, he has a low 127. I guess it was 127.58, but it hasn't been accepted on the leaderboards yet.
That sounds like a high 127 to me, but
sorry,
still,
a high
still an
127.
improvement.
I stand corrected. And yeah, so Willard is a little bit behind with his PB there, but I've been seeing him streaming a lot NMG. Sorry, I've been seeing him streaming a lot NMG lately. So yeah, I guess he will definitely improve throughout the tournament there. And let's see what will happen here. I mean, like it's like you said, it's seed 1 to 32 against seed 33 to 64. So it's gonna be like the at least when you talk about the seeding, gonna be the top match in this group.
Yeah, and I guess if we're just taking chalk, both of these runners would be favored to survive this group regardless of the outcome. But of course, there's a reason we play the matches, and that's anyone can die to cold at any time.
Definitely, yeah. Or like even to Ganon or whatever. I mean, like Pika Peltz is not too far behind with a 134.53, which was
that's
probably the seed 65 to something something.
Yeah, that was the 65 to 96. And a lot of those mid-seed matchups, the 33 to 64 versus 65 to 96 matchups, look very competitive across a lot of the groups.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the time where the leaderboard is stacking up between like a 130 and a 135. I think it's like a time you can get without too much practice. But still, you definitely have to practice to survive this game. I mean, like, I don't know if we will be seeing any safety strats. I guess we won't see any safety strats on Zatox's end here tonight. He's been doing no powder strats since a long time and doing like the standard NMG route. Nice. Maybe like a small route diversions. I know he likes to pick up the Ice Rod and the Ether Tablet before Swamp Palace, just to make sure that you can enter Misery Mire with full health every time.
And that can be a good call to set up that Mire too, but right now Zatox having a little bit of trouble with Lammo getting through. I think that was a 7 cycle? It was Lammo
yeah. 5 or 6 cycle, I think. Yeah. It looked quite
wake up any time.
Yeah, it looked like really chaotic.
There were worms everywhere. It was horrible. This fight can just go so sideways, and it's not that you die, but it's that your run dies.
Really good fight by Willard there.
Yeah, Willard absolutely cutting the gap a little bit there, having a pretty clean Landmo. Also got really nice Popo RNG on his way over to Landmo, and so just Desert treating Willard pretty nicely.
Yeah, like a low 18, considering that he picked up the Shalosh rupees. It's not too bad. Zatox having no trouble there with the fake flippers. Something I like to mess up there every now and then.
Yeah, that's one of those ones that 95% of the time goes perfectly, and then yeah, sometimes there's those outliers where it's a pain in the butt. But this is
indeed.
This is good result for Zatox, and I think Willard's got the nice consistent setup, doing basically the same thing. Maybe a couple frames more slowly, but making it through A-okay.
Yeah, he also got a little trouble there with the cucumber getting in his way. And once again, and let's see how the squirrels are treating Zatox. Yeah, no problem there.
I, of course, hate the squirrels, but I find I'm more likely to get screwed by these boulders on this screen.
Yeah, like both are quite annoying, and I saw Zatox rip a run just this afternoon because the squirrel right before Tower of Hera got into his way and he slashed it, and well, guess where it stopped? Right before the entrance of Tower of Hera.
Oh my gosh.
So that can happen.
Oh, I laugh only because I identify with those feels. My apologies to Zatox. That's horrible.
No, don't worry about him. He's fine. He can take it. Yeah, like those are the things that like you never see when you see one or some of these runs. Like all the things that can go wrong. You know, like you have to do a few runs to just like know how like such a thin line that is like where this run is hanging on. You know.
Absolutely. There's so many dumb things that can happen in this game that each of them is, you know, some number of seconds, anywhere from, you know, 1 all the way to 45, 50, some of these mistakes that you can make that just really, even the small ones add up over the course of a run, and you get all these small optimizations offset by small suboptimal things, and it really does bleed minutes. It's kind of crazy how it works out.
Yeah, and like that's actually what is the difference between like a 127 or 128 runner and like a runner like Eddie or WQ or Zelda. Like just their level of optimization is like not necessarily visible when you compare them to other runs, but it's like the few 5 to 10 frames they save in every room, and that stacks up to these very insane times. Actually, I have a feeling Zatox is a little off his feet right now, like messing up both Lamola and the almost fight seems to have gotten into his brain. Like we often talk about, like you have to have a strong mindset when playing this game. Like there's just like the snowballing effect, he always says, you know, like it's not real snowballing like you know it from League of Legends or whatever, but it's like a snowballing happening in your mind, you know. You just have to get back on your feet, focus again, and hopefully you do the best out of this.
Yeah, I mean, tilt is absolutely real in this game, in the sense that you have a bunch of isolated screens, and in theory you could start executing perfectly at any point, but once some things go wrong, especially, you know, from runner to runner, it's different how folks respond. You know, there's a lot of potential for things to continue going wrong.
Oh yeah.
And so hopefully Zatox can bounce back from fight here.
He will. He also got a nice 5 arrow drop there. Oh my god.
Ooh, taken a little bit
that
of a
was
knockback.
freaking close. Oh, Willard having some trouble with his inputs there, I guess.
And because of safety switch, having to take a little bit the wrong way around. But hopefully Willard can correct and make up for it on this round.
Shoutouts to picking up those 3 bombs, by the way. Like, that was a good call on his side.
It is an interesting call by Willard. I'd not seen that particular handling of the Moon Pearl as a backup.
Yeah, like it's an interesting strat to do the bomb jump this way. Also, I can I can blame no one for pulling that switch in Tower of Hera, you know, like especially with Zatox. I was talking a lot with him about that safety switch, and like especially he lost races to me because he wasn't turning around that switch, and he died to Moldorm eventually, or dropped down and was having to fight Moldorm again with so many, like not many hearts. Solid fiber bullet there.
I think Willard had 3 hearts when he chose to hit the switch, but you know, knowing he has to go for a bomb jump, gets 1 heart on the way if he wants it, but I don't disagree at all with the choice to take that switch.
So yeah, Zatox seems to be back on his feet, and more scrolls going in your way. That's also kind of annoying what you see on the little screen that there. It's like, if you don't pay attention, you just bonk into him, and then it's a mess. Like, just their movement is so unpredictable. They're really annoying.
This is what we were talking about a little earlier with the rupee route for Zatox. I didn't see if he got the first part of it because I was watching on Willard's screen, but we'll be looking to see if he does not get hit here and then pulls...
he should be fine.
And there he is, skipping that mushroom, skipping powder, and looking for red rupees to pop out here, but no.
Oh, he got hit there. Oh, I'm sorry.
I saw he was missing half a heart.
Yeah, he was missing half a heart. Well, where did he get hit there? I'm sorry. I was also watching Willard's screen. So, like, the safety route is just to pull that tree, set your kill count back to 0, and again, pray to not get hit, and then hit kill 4 enemies on your way to the castle. And like we see number 1 here, and
it looks like he might not be going for it. That's 3. That's only 3.
I probably overlooked one. I probably overlooked one enemy outside of the forest. Like when you leave the forest, there's like these two green guards, and I think he killed the right one of these. Oh no, maybe the bird. Maybe the bird.
I think it was the bird on the way out of the forest. Because I don't think the green guards died. So yeah, nice backup there by Zatox, patching that small mistake. And there we see Willard getting his mushroom. We'll see him turn that in for powder, presumably, unless he's going for the fake powder thing. And if that comes up, we'll talk about it. But probably going to just get actual powder.
Zatox gonna die in T-Rock. Oh, because a heart drop from the guards. Okay, I didn't know that like the heart drop also influences your price pack there. I guess it's called price bag, right? Like not a pack.
Yeah, the T-Rock prize pack management, the blue guards being grouped in with the pokies. I forget the actual name of them, but everyone just calls them pokies. The bouncing towers of balls in T-Rock. A lot of runners will look to manipulate a fairy and potentially a full magic drop out of those guys. And that starts here in Aga Tower.
Fake powder, is that like fake news?
Nah, fake powder is actual news. It's a pretty cool glitch that has been more recently discovered, but the utility of it to NMG, I mean, it depends when people have to expect to use powder. We've seen a couple runners, or at least one runner, go for it successfully so far in this tournament. I'm sure we'll see others. And Willard, a little bit of trouble here in his screen in Aga Tower, but now he's through. And now's the time to get your guesses in for how many blue balls Zatox is going to get. Anywhere from 0 to 15. I'm gonna say 3. I think I'll play the odds. We'll have a 2 lightning cycle.
Yeah, 3 is average.
Yeah. Losing his first coin flip. And I think Willard's gonna get 2. I think Aga will be slightly above average friendly for Willard.
Willard skipping the arrows there. That's an interesting move.
Yeah, I was surprised to see him skip that arrow pot in the top right. We saw Zatox get it.
Like, it's kind of, well, not mandatory, but not bad to have it in the Dark Palace.
I think that was 2 so far for Zatox, and there's the 3rd.
There's 3, yeah.
So that's that third one's the critical one that guarantees a second lightning and a fourth. So Zatox on the bad side of luck now.
Interesting sound glitch there by Willard. I've never seen that. And Zatox stays with 4, so that's cool. I mean, like, not cool for him, but like cool that it wasn't more. I mean, I've done races with him and like screwing up my light world and big time catching up because I got like 2 blue balls and he got 8, so it can be really frustrating.
Yeah, and Willard staying cardinally up and down from Aga and taking that blue ball hit. That's why you'll see a lot of runners choose to stay left or right of Aga. Is the wow, Willard going in the 1 in 8 bin of losing all 3 of his round 1 coin flips. We're still alive for 15, folks.
So that's the squeedle.
Rip 15.
Yeah, I guess like if I'm recalling correctly here, I think Scribo is like the only one who ever had a 15 blue ball on screen recorded.
I believe that's correct. Yeah, I haven't seen anyone else's 15 blue ball recording, so.
I heard rumors that Andy got like a 15 blue ball in SGDQ practice room one day.
That is the lore, but who knows? But Aga behaving pretty well after that first round. First round, he was just absolutely a jerk. And we
you can expect the worst once you get 3 blue balls in the first cycle. It's already like, oh man.
Yeah, once I get those first 3, I'm like, okay, well let's just get the 15 out of the way.
Yeah.
I'll throw the run just to, you know, tick that box. And Zatox is into Palace of Darkness. Willard is on his way there. Interesting. I'm very interested to see how both of these runners handle all of the various screens, because there's a lot of screens I haven't figured out how to optimize yet, and so picking up little tips here and there. I like how Zatox is handling some of these.
Yeah, like I know that Zatox is not a huge fan, but I don't know. Like, oh, I'm gonna start again with that. I know that he picked up a lot of strats from Joe D'Amelio's run, some stuff now and then. So like he was always saying that like Joe plays rather safe strats. It's still got like this very good low 125 and even like a sub 125 I heard, which also isn't appearing on leaderboards yet. So this might be also just a rumor. But I know like that he's a huge fan of like stealing speed strats from Joe. So that might be some of that stuff you're seeing on the right side here on Zatox's screen. And we got bomb jump number 1 coming up on Zatox's screen, picking up both bombs, getting the ferry. That's unfortunate. And starting with the buffers there.
And
should be careful not to run out of time.
Set up. Yeah, he was close on the timer, but I think, yep, he's good.
Okay, like Zatox uses to say, buffer less. He's always giving me a hard time when my bomb jump looks like this, and he's just commentating buffer less, Kappa.
Yeah, but taking those buffers is absolutely better than having to miss and then reset, so not gonna slide definitely on their pause buffering.
Like, I wasted so many runs on that bomb jump because I was like just too greedy and trying to do sword slashes to adjust my positioning there. Like, for those of you who are on Speed Gaming main channel, for those of you not being too familiar with that speed tech, that's like a double pixel perfect trick, and you're running against the 2 bomb timers you dropped, you're running against the floor that is cracking. We're gonna see that once again on left screen with Willard there. Picking up only 1 bomb, that's giving him more leeway there. No problem with the setup of the first bomb.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that was like a bit too high, I guess.
Yeah,
we can try again.
He had the awkward setup of 2 pixels showing when he wanted 3, and he needed to move up 1 pixel, of course, up being cardinally a 2-pixel movement on the first frame. That's a hard one to fix there without going diagonally.
Yeah, you want to walk diagonally there to only move 1 pixel. But yeah, like, especially in a race context, I can't blame anyone for failing that trick. It's a really hard trick, and we even see top runners failing them in races. And even in RTAs, you know, like...
Yeah, Willard recovered very nicely, got it on his second try, didn't lose too much time to it, and still, again, picking up those bombs in the back of Sahasrala's hut, looking pretty good for Willard. Has the luxury of, you know, misusing a couple bombs over the course of the run, maybe more than what he would have had access to without drops.
We're seeing a nice Helmasaur fight there by Zatox. Not getting the best RNG, but handling it really, really well. So that's a good thing there. Will picking up some backup arrows that should put him back on track when it comes to arrow counts. Like, oh, interesting arrow dash there.
Yeah, that's something I hadn't previously seen. And it was a very interesting dash there by Willard.
I guess that was more for the swagness.
I can't imagine it saved much time, if any, but it looked pretty cool. And that's one of the nice things about this run is, even though everyone has to nominally do the same things, it'll be interesting to see what unique choices and what unique stylistic flair each runner has to offer up. Oh, and that turtle getting a little feisty for Willard, but not taking any hits. That's the important part, making it through.
Yeah, like, they are quite obnoxious with their hitboxes once they're lying on the bag. Like, actually, Willard was standing too close to the turtle. So, like, his hammer got past the hitbox of the turtle and actually didn't hit the turtle, but flipped it back to the top side. So that can happen. But he recovered pretty well on that one, so having no trouble there. Zatox having a little trouble with that bird, being rather careful not to take any hits before entering Thieves Town, and brilliant fight by Willard there. What the hell? Like,
yeah,
I didn't expect to see a hammer strats there.
Yeah, hammer strats, and he used the mask breaking on the 17th hammer hit to despawn the second fireball, getting kind of rough RNG early, but handling it very, very well. That was a very good Helmasaur fight.
Yeah, you sometimes want to count along and wait with your 17th hit for the mask, just to make sure that Helmasaur isn't spawning another fireball. Just rather wait for him to, like, move his tail or whatever.
And a first dig flute there for Zatox. We'll expect to see most runners get that first try.
Yeah, he was going for a quick warp there, I guess.
And we'll see if Spin Speed can get him past Usain Bolt. And there he is. He's made it through.
Well done. That guy can really give you a hard time. Like, he did to me, like, a few times, actually. Like, when you get hit by that guy, you're still in your Spin Speed's weird glitched state, and you try to hit him, but your B button doesn't work because you're still in that weird glitched state, and oh, it's a mess.
Yeah, it's another one of those things where almost all of the time it goes perfectly, and then when it goes sideways, oh man, does it go sideways.
Oh yeah. Like I heard there's some visual cue, allegedly, with while being in the spin speed state there, where you can run really fast, that you like to have to move over the 2 flowers on the floor, and then you almost like then you get around Usain every time. I mean, like it's about just being on your feet and get past Usain Bolt here, get past the red guard as soon as possible, as fast as possible.
Yeah, I'm scared of him. I've started waiting for him to come down and then run up around him, because I just lose the frames there at this point. I've gotten nabbed by him a couple times lately and just said, you know what, this is not worth it.
Oh yeah, I can't blame you. Like, not worth it is definitely a thing you should go for with a bunch of strats when you start speedrunning this game.
And Willard also making it safely through. We'll see if he is going for actual powder here, or if he's going for the fake powder. We'll find out. Or we are most likely to find out very soon. Because this is the point where most runners will go grab powder prior to going to Thieves Town, because it can be pretty useful here for the Hellway anti-fairy. And potentially some of the basement ones, or the basement one. And yeah, here we see him fluting to 2, going to turn in that mushroom, pick up the powder. It's going to cost him a little bit of time. But I like this spin speed here for this screen.
Nice setup there, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see many runners go for that, but that's something I may have to steal. So, something I just noticed on Zatox's screen, and that I have noticed from a lot of runners, I'm not very good at this game, but I was curious why people elect to pick up that skull pot for that switch rather than hammer it. Here in the top part of Thieves Town.
Interesting question. Yeah, I guess it's about like the same frame-wise.
It just seems like everyone picks up that pot, and I haven't been able to figure out a good reason for it. I was questioning that, and if there's a good reason for it, I mean, I'll do it. But you've already got hammer equipped, so.
Yeah, like, I don't know, it's like, it's the same thing with the room before you drop down to colds there. You see some people picking up the pots there, you see some people use a hammer. I would say, like, just the hammer animation, which is also, like, killing all of your velocity and making you stand still, is, like, not that eligible when it comes to, like, moving in the direction. Oh my god, Zatox dropping into the pit there. That looked quite funny. Oh my god, being so lucky with the little guys there spawning from the big guy. It's just like the animation of the hammer, it's just taking longer. I guess it's a difference there with the top of the room. We saw just Zatox passing there, since you can also do the hammer dash there. I guess it's maybe different with the conveyor belts on the floor. But I guess, like, you should be fine either way, whether you pick them up or do them with a hammer. I would say it's like a difference in the range of 5 to 10 frames. Couldn't be more in my guess. And we've seen a textbook fight by Zatox there with blind, so that should cover up his bad Hellway.
Yeah, stayed perfectly on script and got through. Okay, we'll see what Willard chooses to do. Also picking up that pot, and Dark Mind Demon and others in chat just indicating that an optimal grab of that pot does save some frames, so that would be why people choose to do it.
Yeah, like, it's like we said before, it's all of these small frame savers which decide whether you get like a 140, 135, 130, or 125 or even lower. Like you can spend so much time optimizing this game, and shoutouts to the quite large Link to the Past community, like that there are so many people which are still putting so much practice and enthusiasm into the game and trying to optimize it. Like ever since I'm around speedrunning and the Link to the Past community, I've never seen this with any other speed game being like celebrated and optimized that much.
Yeah, the Link to the Past community is pretty large and has grown substantially even in the past handful of months, mostly off of the back of the popularity of the randomized version of this game. And I know the last time there was an NMG Link to the Past tournament, I was not part of the community yet, but apparently it was a struggle to even fill a 64-person bracket, whereas this time we were well into overflow on a 128-person bracket, just indicating the growth in popularity of both A Link to the Past and speedrunning in general over that time period. Really nice to see.
I mean, it was a quite popular game back in the day and still now, and we're gonna just watch Willard there, how he does blind. Having full hearts, that's pretty neat.
So far he is nicely on script. And a little bit of trouble here in phase 3, but recovering nicely, adapting to the patterns he was getting.
Yeah, his second attack in phase 3 was a little bit too early, so Blind's iframes weren't gone completely by then, but with Sword Beans having no problem there, like he maybe lost a second there, so that's no biggie.
And I didn't catch, did Zatox, did you see if he went for the fence dash? Getting bad.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. I mean, like, that's definitely one of the things you should put in your bad bank under the hashtag not worth it.
Yeah. I think it's something like a 1 pixel movement up and left from the screen transition will give it to you, but then it's a matter of actually executing that and adapting nicely to some bad RNG in the mummy statue room, the actual worst room in the game.
And also having the worst RNG in the room after, with the mummy camping right on the outside the entrance.
What is this? What is this Skull Woods RNG? He got the skull in the bush over by the pit here that he's passing by. He's just getting wrecked by RNG here, but adapting really, really nicely. That's one of the things you will see from a lot of the top runners in this game, is just their ability to adapt even when they get the worst case scenario. Very, very good.
Indeed, yeah, like that's the thing which only like you get when you do lots of runs, and that's also a reason why most of the top 126 leaderboard runners are running this speedrunning this game for quite some time. You just need the experience to, like, number one, have the mindset, of course, and number two, just knowing the strats for basically every room, every enemy RNG, and knowing also how to correct and to react and stay calm if something goes wrong.
Finally getting good RNG there from that firebar getting the dash. See how Mummy Hellway treats him. But this is a pretty controllable room.
Yeah, since he's a little low on hearts, doing some sort of safe strat there, which should be faster than the original. Ooh, and he got bunnied.
That mini Moldorm was just scumming him the whole way.
Yeah. Can't blame him there for waiting till the bunny goes away and just picking up the safety heart there. That's the right move in a race context. I mean, if you get good RNG, you should be just fine with Morphula, but it's a crapshoot, you know. Like, if Morph is giving you a bad pattern and The king,
true to form,
kind of.
Oh god.
Oh god, he's down
Careful.
to 1 heart.
Oh, no.
Jesus.
Well,
yeah, that can happen.
Willard has Willard boomeranged both the mummies here. So while we were watching Mothula go horribly, we saw Willard play it a little safe there.
Yeah, like, he got also the worst RNG after the mummy room, where the mummy is camping right outside of the entrance. I mean, like, with a precise dash, you can get through there. Zatox being quite fortunate that he died in this dungeon. A death to Mothula shouldn't be losing too much time compared to a dungeon like Misery Mire or Ice Palace. So he might be losing like a little more than a minute here. Picking up the extra arrows there, can't blame him for that. Picking up also the extra magic, and let's see, he has now 8 hearts, so it should be good this time, hopefully.
And hopefully a better moth.
Yeah, like that's textbook fight there.
Yeah, I don't know if he got the double hit there, and one of those hits was into the spikes, but
yeah, I heard like if you see the moth like shaking twice, or like shaking a little bit to the side when you dash into him, I think it's a double hit. And I think we saw that, but then one of his slashes was a slash into the spikes, so that slash got probably not recognized. And good thing for us, which gives Willard a little time to catch up here. And that's like what we said there. If Willard hasn't been going for the powder strat, then he probably would have been like head on head with Zatox now. So that's how quickly the tide can turn.
Yeah, and Willard with sword beams here. This okay, and there he goes, just fire rotting the Gibdo finally. But sword beams really being a pain in the butt if he wasn't going to get the spike strat for that Gibdo.
So let's see how he handles Mothula, getting the better RNG there. Getting a really good pet on the Moth is just more moving down. So that was well played by Willard, but also having good RNG there.
Yeah, and that's all it takes is for Zatox. Moth just wouldn't leave that top row of spikes, and there was nothing he could do in that first fight.
Yeah, like the really kind of sick thing with top runners is they like do some poke dashes from the side there and still get like a very quick Moth fight, and that's like where top runners just are having no problem with this fight whatsoever. I mean, like, even for top runners it can be a problem, but it is less often the case. And I mean, that's the thing. It always looks so easy, and even Zatox is a quite experienced runner with this game. I guess he's been active for quite a while. Yet he's having trouble with that boss. I mean, like, even though he probably did fight that boss Mothula for at least like maybe 300 times or something throughout practice and randomizer races and normal NMG races.
Setting up and getting his quick warp there with that bonk at Catfish for Quake, cutting 34 seconds of that time loss away. So there are still these small optimizations that we're going to see screen to screen, but those big chunk time losses are the things that are maybe going to allow Willard to grind his way back into it, even if Zatox has slightly cleaner screen-to-screen execution.
Yeah, we can see like some small differences between Willard's pathing and Zatox's pathing throughout this large overworld section, where you have to get the Quake Medallion and eventually the flippers. And these are also the things that were recommended to me by my German fellow runners, Timon and Eddie. They were just like watching some runs of mine, and they were just like, yo dude, just like watch some good runs and try to replicate their overworld movement, and you can easily save like 10 seconds, it's like not much, but sometimes it is that easy to like that quote unquote easy to get better times by just like watching other runners how they move in the overworld. Like we said, I cannot stretch this enough. It's so much optimization going on in this game.
We saw another quick warp from Zatox there on the entry into the portal for Ice Palace, and saw Willard not go for the bonk to set up the quick warp at Catfish, and so again, small things. But actually, with where Willard was in his Y coordinate, I agree with his choice to not go for the quick warp setup there. If you bonk just wrong on that screen and trigger the cutscene, you can actually end up soft locking yourself, which is something that I've done previously and was pretty unhappy about at the time.
Oh, that I've never seen that before. That sounds awful.
It's exactly like a failed fake flippers if you hit the edge just wrong there. So you want to be sufficiently low for that bonk so that you will absolutely bonk off the wall.
Zatox having full hearts here and 5 bombs entering the Ice Pass bomb jump, so let's see how he's doing there. He totally stole that strat from me. No, I was just like, I don't know where I saw this strat. I guess I kind of figured it out. Oh, Jesus, that's unfortunate. I'm gonna laugh at him later for that. Okay, good backup.
Going 2 for 2, the double first try bomb jump.
Thank God he picked up those extra bombs, but having 5 hearts and eventually, like 6 hearts, but eventually 5 hearts of Cold Stare, shouldn't be too frightening, I guess. He's pretty consistent with the Cold Stare fight, but oh, he's waiting. It's actually kind of a weird move in my opinion, since like there's no difference if you have 5 or 6 hearts entering the Cold Stare fight. So like that's already the snowballing going on in his mind there. I can feel it. But like I said, that's like the moves and the choices you're doing while doing a race, while doing a run. Whether you do a safe strat there and pick up some extra hearts or not, all depending on your state and on your abilities to manage these, well, kind of difficult strats. Willard having no problem. Sorry, Willard having no problem with the setup there.
Set it up nicely, getting himself through now with 9 hearts, so it's a good spot to be in. Zatox going for the 6/ Cold Stare, getting him ungrouped a little bit, but backing it up nicely. So
yeah, we saw him having already a little trouble there with the first phase. Like he was, I guess he was mashing a little bit too fast, therefore missing one fire rod shot. So like that's the thing. Like I said there, you need to have that strong mindset, and I hope he can recover after misery after Ice Palace.
Yeah, we saw Willard choose to go through that spike there, bring himself down to 8 hearts. It's an interesting choice, because if he takes 2 puff hits, then that would be lethal.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of surprised we didn't see him choose to keep himself at 9 health, but hopefully he's able to execute this 6/ cleanly.
Yeah, like they got a little out of hand, but luckily the puff 2 and 3 were like staying and relaxing in the bottom left corner there. So
yeah, he was able to adapt nicely, and the puff RNG was not so bad. Yeah,
like we saw already yesterday, some some 128 or 127 runners, shoutouts to Fraker22, doing like the advanced strat with the poke dashes there, so that's like really sick in my opinion. Also something that is on my not worth it list.
Yeah, Fricker, I think the first of many runners that we will see PB during races this tournament. Everyone's really been putting a lot of work in and improving, and I think Fricker cut over a minute off his PB on his run yesterday.
A minute and 20 last night, so
pretty sick.
That guy is sick, yeah. Yeah, 1 second not worth. That's like the question you always gotta ask yourself. But I mean, like, it's up to every runner to answer that question for himself. I mean, some runners are just fine with doing backup strats, doing slower strats. I mean, like, just do and race the way you're comfortable with it, and do it within your skills. I mean, it's no worth just going for insane strats and fail them all the time.
So I'm not great with bomb management through this part of the run. Zatox with 2, choosing to pass by the 50-50 rock in front of Link's house. Is that the correct decision, do you think?
That should be no problem. He already got the ice rod. He's doing like some yeah, safer strat, like also Willard doing the same thing there. Like we see I would say more spread strat in the sub 130 department, where you do get the either tablet and so the Eva medallion and the ice rod after Swamp Palace, but getting potentially in the danger of losing a heart there before entering Misery Mile, which you really want to avoid. So we saw both runners picking up Ether and Ice. Yeah, Willard also got the Ice Rod before Swamp Palace. So coming back to your question, should be no problem there, because you only need 1 bomb from Misery Mire, and then you're good to go for the rest of the run. So like even for the runners that are getting Ice Rod and the Ether medallion after Swamp Palace, they are okay with leaving Swamp Palace with 2 bombs. So we got both runners plus 1 bomb at this part. Having 17 and 18 arrows, that's also looking pretty decent. They're gonna pick up at least 5 more arrows in Swamp Palace, so their arrow count should be all right. Also, some of the things where you shouldn't be taking too much care about when you start speedrunning this game. I mean, there are loads of places where you can pick up additional bombs and arrows, but once you start optimizing it, you should also give like some thought into backup places where you can pick up bombs and arrows, especially when it comes to a race.
Yeah, which that's one of those things that, as a newer runner at the game, I have not had to face enough times that I've had to really think about it. I just have too many safeties still built in to what I'm doing. So that's why I'm not 100% on all of that late game ammo management.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can choose either way. You can prepare and look up just some other runs and look up places where people pick up bombs and arrows, and that's actually how I did it. I never, like, sat down and looked into places where I can pick up bombs and arrows. I was just, like, watching other speedrunners doing the no major glitches any percent, and just, like, learning from that and trying to copy and remember those places where you can pick up additional bombs and arrows if there's like something not going according to the plan, to your plan to go through this game as quickly as possible.
Yeah, which this group stage is going to feature what, over 180, assuming there are no drops and everyone plays everyone. Over 180 example races for folks to watch to get better at NMG, so we're only in the second day of this, but it's going to be a fun couple weeks.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So while Willard raises the the water level, I'll say, you know, if you want to see more races, be sure to follow all of the speed gaming channels. There's going to be a ton of A Link to the Past NMG happening here over the next 4 weeks. And so it's a great time, not only to watch, but to get into the run yourself if you're thinking about it.
Zatox having the worst RNG there with that red jelly, so like that's really annoying.
And there's one of those backup arrow pots we see him grabbing, but he did get the hook dash there to set up the quick skull grab beneath the statue, so...
Yeah, it's actually one of these things, like, I talk to Zatox a lot about this game, and we do races a lot, and that was actually some strat I could teach him, because, like, usually he's the more experienced runner of both of us, with, like, knowing more stuff about this game, knowing more stuff about price backs and what have you, and that was actually one strat I taught him, that you can like hook a dash glitch into that pot, and into that skull pot at the bottom left, so you can always quickly pick up the top left pot. So like that's the cool thing about the community. You just like race, you talk about the game, you learn, and it's a joyful experience every time.
Yeah, which that's one of the subtleties of this game, is even watching that strat 100 times, you might not fully appreciate what was going on. Similarly, we saw Zatox and Willard handle the big chest hook shot and grabbing the small key from the skull pot slightly differently. And Zatox rubbed the statue, walked up to get the hook shot, then walked down and right until he stuck, menued to hook shot, and was able to hook shot to the right twice to get to the key pot more quickly. And we saw Willard not get flush with that statue, not go for that little time save. And it's just
Zatox actually screwed it up.
Well, you know, we saw him set it up.
Yeah.
he was going for it, and Willard decided to pass entirely.
It was an ambitious attempt. But we saw so many ambitious attempts on Zatox's screen so far.
Well, if you will see some runners do this over the course of the tournament.
Yeah, like it's one of these small frame savers again. It should be like maybe 10 to 20 frames, not much.
And Willard not going for the zero cycle here. That is...
Yeah.
I think this is one of the hardest boss fights to do 100%
Definitely.
correctly.
Shoutouts to Eddie Darkmine Demon, pulling off a zero cycle in the Tony race last night. Willard going for fire rod strats here.
I think we saw Fricker and Scrivo also in the same four-way race, not in the same race against one another, both get that zero cycle, and maybe even JC in that race. It was crazy. Everyone was zero cycling Argus, and it's not that easy.
In my opinion, it's one of the toughest strats with quick quilts in the speed game. On the question how far we are into the tourney, these are the few first matches of the group phase, so we're just at the beginning of this tournament. Like Maniacal, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Maniacal or
Maniacal's fine.
Maniacal, okay, I stand corrected. Like Maniacal said before, we got 32 groups. Each group has 6 matches, so it's over 180 matches. So it's going to be all over speed gaming these days. And once again, big thanks to Fiesel and his team of speed gaming for making these events happen. It's very great.
Yeah, I think there's something like an average of between 6 and 7 matches per day in order to get all of those matches played. and restreamed and viewed in the 4-week time for the group stage of this tournament. And so there is going to be a ton of A Link to the Past. This is just the first of, I want to say like a quadruple or quintuple header or something tonight. We've got this race, and then there's a 4 p.m. Eastern, a 6 p.m., an 8 p.m., and a 10 p.m. So there is, if you just want to sit here on speed gaming for the next 8 hours and watch A Link to the Past, we got you, fam. Just do it. There's going to be a lot of good A Link to the Past today.
Indeed. So let's get back to the race here. We got both runners into Misery Mire. Zatox being like a little ahead, I would say like around 40 to 50 seconds. So getting rather close on this end. Also regarding that, Willard has like maybe the ultimate advantage when it comes to bad RNG in Ganon's Tower, or maybe even Turtle Rock, because he went for the safe strat and picked up the powder. Zatox doing powderless routing here throughout this game. So if he'll be getting a hard time in G-Tower, we might like see some safety strats which will cost time, or maybe eventually force him to take another death.
Yeah, the powder, especially Mire, T-Rock, Ganon's Tower, is a major resource advantage in terms of Willard's ability to potentially be reckless in screens where Zatox may need to respond a little differently to RNG depending on how things go. So, it's a close race.
Yeah, like, I mean, Zatox should have more experience in the NMG context, so he also did perform very well here. Having no trouble with the spike room, and he also was able to pick up the heart after that room. So if he's not messing up anymore, he should be entering the Vitreous fight with a 10 hearts, which shouldn't be giving him any trouble. Also seeing him getting rid of that second bomb there, so he can have the fire rod to use it on that crystal switch. That's like actually a quite advanced strat. So you don't have to walk to the left there to activate that the crystal switch. You can just do it from the entrance of that cracked hole in the wall.
That was a really cool optimization. Thank you for pointing that one out. And I guess to talk about the runner's experiences, Zatox has been running A Link to the Past NMG since early 2017, and Willard's been going since roughly mid-17, so about 8 months for Willard and more on the order of 13 or 14. Oh no, Zatox!
Jesus! That's really unfortunate.
And yeah, just like that, that is a lead change. We're going to see Zatox need to go back through the dungeon, so
also being down to 7 hearts, like that's, like I said once before, you have to have that strong mindset, and obviously even though Misery Mire seemed to be alright for him, we see him being really pissed about that. Down to 6 hearts already, so he better be on his feet trying to go through the second time through this dungeon.
And I feel for Zatox on that one. I think anyone who's run this game more than a few times has ripped a run to Vitreous, and it feels awful. And so hopefully he can recover, bounce back, pick up his heart here, and just make it through okay on the second round.
Yeah, and Willard taking the lead there, down to 6.5 hearts, and booyah, full life. So that's definitely one of the advantages of powder, and this is actually one of the fights which made me not skip the powder for a long time, because you want to have the most hearts getting into that fight.
Wow, that first spin from Willard was very interesting. Ending up in a weird spot with one of those eyeballs, but getting a nice one cycle here on Vitreous.
Yeah, solid one cycle.
this is why Willard chose to get the powder, really.
Indeed.
Weighing that the time save of having that option and that safety is going to outweigh the roughly 30 to 40 seconds it's going to cost to flute over and actually go get it.
Zatox taking another hit there. So entering the 505 hearts. Let's see how he does this time.
And still going for these sort of the WQ strat as far as he could. And hopefully he can manage the lightning comes faster and faster the fewer eyeballs are left. And looks good. Yeah, there we go.
Making it through. Good job there.
A little bit of a clench there, but a nice rebound there for Zatox.
Indeed, like, I don't know what it was. I have to ask him later if he's available for the interview, what happened there. Like, I actually didn't think that the eyeball RNG looked too bad. Like, but that's what I said before. Like, we're walking around here with only tempered sword, with green mail throughout the run, and you just like have to be on your feet all the time for 1.5 hours straight. Like, sometimes it's the small things that you're just like losing more hearts in the dungeon than you want to, and then you have to fight a boss with less hearts than you actually want to, like we saw with Zatox earlier. He was having bad RNG throughout Skullwoods, and he had to face Mafia with less hearts than he wanted to, and eventually took the death there. On the other hand, entering Viddy with full hearts and still dying to Viddy because one of the eyeballs kind of surprised him, probably.
Yeah, I mean, the strat that most runners are using of getting up in the goo to spin attack the eyeballs, the goo will deal 1 heart and give you some iframes. The eyeballs, though, if you take that hit, deal 4 a pop. And so if you just mess up and take an eyeball hit instead by accident or by happenstance, suddenly you're 3 hearts lower than you wanted to be, and what's a fairly tightly managed fight can go south quickly.
Definitely. So we saw Willard already entering T-Rock, Turtle Rock. Getting the quick hook there, just dropping down. That's actually a strat that saves so much time compared to the casual way you would play this room.
And there we see Zatox bonking for a safety fairy, ensuring he'll have full health entering T-Rock. And getting some bad squirrel RNG, but managing it nicely, getting them both knocked out of the way.
Yeah, I know for a reason that he's really, really, really pissed about the squirrels in front of T-Rock. I saw him wasting away, ripping away so many runs because of bad squirrel RNG in front of T-Rock. So I know why he got that safety fairy there.
These bow wows are really being a jerk to Willard here. Some bad chain chomp RNG.
I like that you also call them bow wows. I always also like to call them bow wows because I originally speedrunned and still speedrun Link's Awakening, and there he is called Bow Wow.
Exactly. That's the only named chain chomp I know in the Zelda sort of universe, and so I'm going with Bow Wow.
Bow Wow Wow Yippee-yo Yippee-yay.
And we're getting some idle frames there from spinning that crystal switch, but getting the pokey out of the way.
I was just about to say nice dashes there to avoid the bunny fairy, but getting hit by the laser there, which is costing him 4 hearts. So that's something you really don't want to have in T-Rock. But maybe he's getting another fairy drop. We'll see.
Well, there's the 4 anti-fairies plus the bunny beam, and so yeah, we see him fill right back up here.
Yeah, he has powder.
The luxury of powder. And a very cool sort of safer switch room strat here from Zatox. Unfortunately, bad bow wows again. These guys are jerks, but made it through safely.
I mean, we've seen runners of all kinds just getting killed in T-Rock, ripping away PBs because of bad chain jump RNG.
Yeah. If you haven't ripped a run, a PB pace run in T-Rock yet to Bow Wow's, you're either lucky or haven't run enough yet.
Indeed. Look, doing a nice thread there in the roller room.
Yeah. At the same time, Zatox did a really nice job of handling the pokey RNG and getting that spin lined up with the bunny beam to get the key drop and hit the door by the eye laser. Very well handled.
Interesting routing choice by Willard there, going through that maze. We don't see that often in an NMG context, so maybe that's also some rudimentary rando strats there. Because I think like Willard is like probably more of a rando runner than NMG runner. I think.
I would agree with that, but I honestly don't know. You know, how he would characterize himself as a runner on that front.
Oh my god, doing the what have you dash, the red cane dash there. It's a rather advanced strat, I think.
It's a nice little bit of swag here in the lead up to Trinex.
Talking about Trinex, let's see. Oh, top down strats, nice. With these strats, you can get 4 hits into the first cycle.
So far, a nice backdoor Trinex.
Flawless first phase.
Pretty good fight there. Let's see if he gets the double spin here. Meanwhile, Zatox going for laser skip and getting it cleanly.
No problem there. Willard having a little trouble with phase 2. He was standing a little too far to the left, in my opinion, so he didn't get like the double spin, but yeah, should be no problem. 3 additional hits and he's gone. Zatox going with the other strat there. He likes to call that Joe D'Amelio strat because I think he ripped that away from Joe D'Amelio. Like I said, I think he watched a lot of Joe's runs or like his PB to steal some strats from him. So that's like the good alternative strat to the red cane dash we saw earlier with Willard.
Willard getting a 121.48 grab of the 7th crystal. We'll see how far behind Zatox is here at the end of Trinex. Just as a benchmark sort of headed into Ganon's Tower.
Yeah. I think it had both quite decent T-Rock fights. Zatox having a perfect second phase there. So that's about 1 minute.
Yeah, a minute, maybe 61 seconds apart for the runners. So, yeah, with Zatox having the better PB and Ganon's Tower being heavily execution-based, this is going to come down to be a really exciting one.
Oh, indeed. He can pull off really good times in Ganon Tower and as well in the Ganon fight itself. So we're going to see how Willard is doing here in Ganon's Tower. Considering Zatox will wrap himself up, put himself together, and still trying to turn this thing around.
Yeah, that is one of the nice things about these mashing forever crystal cutscenes at the end of the dungeons is you do have, I mean, you're mashing furiously, but you do have time to take a breath and collect yourself to get ready to execute the next segment. And so I'm sure he's gearing himself up here for a strong finish.
Indeed. Also, interestingly, we will see a small divergence here. Willard picked up the small key from the torch. So, Rip, what's his name?
I believe the glitched anti-fairy
Yeah.
you're referring to is affectionately referred to as Bob.
Yeah, the Bob. Rip Bob.
And so, yeah, Zatox leaving Bob unperturbed.
That's a nice word. I have to remember that. Unperturbed.
And Willard, with 15 arrows, is going to have to grab the arrow pot at the top of this room for Ice Armos. And there he remembered and grabbed it. And getting the chest for the extra 10. So, filling himself up the whole way.
I guess it doesn't make much of a difference whether you get the 10 arrows there or later behind the big key chest. Let's see how he does with Amos. This looks good so far. And
very nice Ice Armos.
Indeed.
Oh, and the 10 arrows. He wants it all. Maybe we're gonna see a little bit of extra arrow usage here through Gauntlet and maybe even Landmo or something. But without silvers, I think we're probably just gonna see it for Gauntlet.
Doesn't hurt to have some extra arrows there. I mean, you're using 8 on the mimics at least, and you can use some extra arrows with throughout the Gauntlet. And doing some interesting strats there on mimics. Let's see how it does it in room 2. Nice strat there. I didn't see that strat in room 2 with the mimics. So like that's one of the few rooms where everyone has like different strats, it seems to me.
Yeah, I've seen all sorts of runners take all sorts of approaches to that, and it can go really any way. A nice Ice Armos from Zatox.
Yeah, taking a wrench from Amos fight number 1. Also skipping the arrows, so he has 8, so he's hoping for a extra drop from the mimics there, since you need 9 arrows in total to go through these rooms. Oh no, he used the sword beams. I stand corrected. But he's getting the 10 arrow refill, 5 arrow, okay, whatever. Meanwhile, Willard going through Gauntlet.
Thankfully, the mimics do a very arrow-dense prize pack, and so you can rely on them to some extent to give you some drops, but a nice switch spike room there from Zatox.
Indeed, like, I was seeing him having troubles with that room recently, but like maybe he practiced that before the raid. Willard having a little trouble with Landmo number 2 there. But he made it with a free cycle, I guess. Shouldn't be too much of a biggie since he's still quite in the lead. So let's see how Zatox does in the Gauntlet here. Especially the room with the blue guys can give you a hard time, but he's doing that just fine.
Any of these rooms can give you a hard time. The 3 Stalfos room and then this all ice room are probably the ones that are most likely to cause me grief.
Oh yeah, especially the ice room can screw you up big time if you're not staying focused.
Willard with pretty tight magic management, gonna need to take this refill here and wait out the timer a little, so he doesn't despawn anything, but
the frame perfect
grabbing those pots, definitely taking enough time.
Willard having a really well-played G tower so far. I have to say I'm really surprised. Like, regarding on what we saw earlier, I think he's doing some really advanced and well-executed strats here in G tower, so he wants to win this.
Yeah, what we mentioned earlier about the divergence of taking that torch key, we saw him not need to get either the mini Helmasaur key or the chest key in the switch ring room here, and just going right on to Moldorm 2.
Having a good pattern there.
A little bit of time in upper GT by paying it in lower GT, slightly slower optimally, but nothing that is going to cost more than a second or so. But yeah, now we are looking at Agatu. He's going to be looking for no blue balls and a double triple for the 2-cycle if he can master the geometry quiz here. This is a nasty starting pattern.
Oh yeah.
And the second round also pretty brutal.
That's an interesting choice by Zatox there, going for some quite unfamiliar strats in the last rooms of G-Tower for Molorm. 3 hits on Aga so far? No, it was 5. Okay, so that was a 4-cycle, I guess.
Yeah, it was a 4-cycle. It was 1-1-2-2 with blue balls in rounds 2 and 3. We'll see what Zatox is able to do for his Agatu fight.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Willard with 11.5 hearts compared to Zatox with 7 hearts, so let's see how Willard does with the Ganon fight. I mean, like, we can still see some knockback from a death to Ganon, or maybe him dropping down, so this race is definitely not over.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like a lot about A Link to the Past NMG, is that the boss fight is entirely relevant. That it can go south. You know, it's very execution heavy. There's a lot of good things going on with the Ganon fight.
We saw a beautiful 3-cycle on Zatox's screen with Aghanim 2. Seemed double phase 2 with Willard, like he was having a little trouble there with his pattern. Making the fruit just fine though.
Yeah, he was
Let's see how many warps. Getting almost 0 warps.
1-1, but not quite. Looks like Zatox is set up to get 1-1 here. He got the double spin off of the trident. And Willard missing torch glitch.
Oh no!
This is gonna be really close.
Did he miss it? Oh shoot! Yeah. Oh my God. That's a major mistake there.
Yeah, and these torches are not on a good cycle relative to one another. I hope he can. Oh, that's a cool adaptation to that torch cycle, though.
I've never seen that strat before. That's really neat. But really close call every time there with the torches. Oh my God, I didn't expect that. I really did not expect.
Oh no! Taking a fall. He'll have another shot at torch glitch, but now Zatox is back in the lead.
Indeed. So this is what you just gotta love about racing that game. And this is definitely a point where I would say the experience pays off. Recovering there and still being strong in your head, still getting back on your feet and still trying to make the best out of this Gan fight. So let's see. Zatox hopefully not messing up there. And having the last hit. Oh my God, that was quite the fight. Quite the endgame race there.
Wow. And as soon as he crosses, he will be done. And there it is, Zatox taking this race, finishing with an official speedracing.tv time of 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 21 seconds. So, GG Zatox.
GG to Zatox. That was quite some race. Like, we saw deaths on both sides. No, we didn't see a death on Willard's side, but a drop down at Ganon. I'm actually really glad that it turned out that way. I mean, like, this could have, just from looking at the leaderboards, you could have said, oh, okay, this is already decided, you know, like, we got a 134 racing against a 127, but you guys made this really entertaining tonight. And in case you want to talk here, you have to activate push to talk. Yeah. We're joined by Zatox, so GG on that race, man.
Yo, GG.
Yeah, welcome and GG Zatox. That was quite a race.
I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything to that.
Well, I assure you, for all of the frustration that you experienced throughout, it was very exciting to watch. Made for a great show.
Morphula did not want to die, and then Viti, oh man, like everything went wrong. I'm really surprised I did not lose, actually.
Were you watching the restream?
Yes. I mean, I saw he fell down.
Okay, yeah. So, and that was the difference. And there, Willard is just finished. So, GG also to WillardJBradley. He is finished with an official speedracing.tv time of 1 hour 35 minutes and 11 seconds.
Yeah, like that. You just looking at the leaderboards, you could have said, yeah, this is decided pretty much. But like we said before, that's like the advantages and disadvantages in race context, whether you pick up safety strats like the powder or not. And we can definitely see how picking up the powder paid off for Willard.
Yeah, I mean, he was able to make it through, I think, deathless the whole race, with the potential exception of the Ganon fall there that ultimately was the decider, if we're looking for a late high variance thing to blame the race on, or just say decided the race.
Indeed, like I mean, like we saw, I definitely felt you Zatox when you died to Vidi or when you died to Morph. I mean, like especially for Morphula, you picked up some extra hearts there, and then still getting the worst RNG in the first fight there.
Yeah,
and the
all
second fight was. And the second fight was super quick then. It was really unlucky, but hey, a nice race, I guess.
And we are also joined by our second to finish today, WillardJBradley. Welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes, GG Willard.
Didn't realize it was that close. I kept looking at the race chat. I'm like, didn't this guy have a 128? What's going on?
Yeah, you, by virtue of having that powder and just some clean execution, were able to stay safe, stay deathless, and you were ahead late into Ganon, and it just, that fall was what did it.
Well, I took the fall intentionally because I won.
Yeah, like that was quite unfortunate with missing the torch glitch there. We looked at your timers, and I guess Willard was exactly about 1 minute ahead after T-Rock. And I was actually, Willard, I was so surprised you had like such a clean execution throughout of Chi Tower, so that was really well played.
Yeah, so I'll remind everyone, if you aren't already following Willard and Zatox and want to see more really good A Link to the Past or other content from them, go give the runners a follow. And follow, of course, Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 2 through 5 or 15 or whatever we've got to check out more races.
Indeed. So let's talk also a little bit about this race. I mean, like we've seen Zatox taking the lead in Light World. I guess 4 blue balls on Aghanim, and Willard with a free.
It was 3 or 4. I think Zatox got, or no, Willard got 3 in the first round, I think. And then the second and third rounds treated him better. I don't remember whether it was 3 or 4 in total, but it definitely started off a little rough for Aga 1.
Yeah, like and then in the Dark World, we were just seeing lead changes back and forth, so that was pretty interesting to watch there.
Yeah, I mean, as brutal as some of those deaths Zatox took, especially Vidi, as brutal as they really made for a very exciting race. And I mean, both runners played very, very well and were able to overcome their mistakes there. Both finished up with nice times. Zatox a 133 and Willard a 135. But I think that that'll pretty much do it for this one. Looks like we have a 4 p.m. coming up of Louis versus Jerby, then a 6 p.m. Josh versus M-Chan, 8 p.m. Wayne versus Zero Rush, and 10 p.m. Yelsrake versus D-Rock. And so all of those are going to be right here on twitch.tv/speedgaming. So just stay put, and in another 10 minutes, there'll be another great A Link to the Past race coming.
Indeed. So stick around on Speed Gaming for more NMG races. Thanks to Zatox and Willard once again for this lovely race, and thanks for sticking it out with us. It was like a really interesting race to watch and commentate.
Yes, GG to both the runners, Zatox on the win and Willard on a very nice showing. And thank you, Bamboo Shadow, for letting me join you on commentary. Had a blast, and thank you to chat for keeping us in check.
Likewise. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you in a bit with more NMG on Speed Gaming 1.